This is Ronan, Rocky Mountain Pro Superstar and professional wrestling's only true vampire, and you are listening to RMP Radio, where pro wrestling is elevated.
RMP Radio is back on the air. Hi, I am your host, Mr. Fourth Row, aka Artie, for this very special episode. And I've got some fellow fans that have become friends, that have become family, part of the RMP faithful. I've got Annie and Jason. How you guys doing?
Great. How you doing, Artie?
Doing good.
Doing just fine. So glad to finally have you guys both on. I know I've been pestering you for a while, and this is like I said, RMP Faithful, RMP Radio, kind of a more relaxed, fun podcast of all the multiple podcasts that I do. So the first question I've got for both of you is, how did you guys get, first of all, hooked into the world and interested in the wacky world of professional wrestling?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'm older, I guess. I grew up in the 80s, and I was around for like the Hogan and, Sheik and Piper. And I spent the night at a friend's house one night, and Saturday, I think it was a Saturday or maybe it was Sunday morning, we turned on Superstars. And I'm like, what the hell is this, And we watched it, but it was right after Jimmy Snuka jumped off the top of the cage on Don Morocco at Madison Square Garden. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then like a couple weeks later, I was at his house again, and he turned on NWA World Championship Wrestling. And the second the Road Warriors came out, I was hooked. I was done. I've been a huge fan ever since.
Awesome. Annie?
Yeah, and I grew up in the 80s as well, and I can't even ever remember a time when we weren't watching wrestling. It just goes back to even before my memory starts. I grew up in a house with brothers, and it was just anytime it was on, that's what we were watching. My dad was a huge Bobby the Brain Heenan fan, and I mean, my brothers were into Hulk Hogan and Sting and everything else, and I can't even remember not being into it. There was a period like in the mid-90s where I was busy being a teenager, and I didn't really care about wrestling there for a few years. And then when I got to be about 17, the Attitude Era was starting and came around again, and we just kind of got full force into it. And that's actually kind of how I got to know Jason. We had a whole group of us that would get together on Monday nights, me, my brothers, and a few other friends, and his little sister, and that's kind of how he and I got to know each other, was over Monday Night Raw.
Awesome. And this was back in the Midwest, right? That's where you guys are from?
Yeah, back in Iowa.
Yeah, we're from Iowa.
Yeah, that's cool. Then a kind of a double-edged question. How did you guys make yourselves the way out here to Colorado?
Work and change of scenery, and just kind of decided to give it a go. We knew some people out here, and just decided to move out here about 10, 11 years ago. All
right. And then how did you find independent wrestling? And was RMP the first independent promotion you found? Or, well, in this case, it would have been NRW, because you guys are a little ahead of me in your fandom of independent wrestling.
It was like, hell was it? It would have been like 2015. I was in a Walmart over on Sheridan Boulevard, and I was flipping through wrestling DVDs, and somebody had stuck like a postcard size flyer for Milestone 5. And they had Al Snow and Chavo Guerrero that year.
Yeah.
And I saw it, and I was like, I can drive like 10 blocks and see Al Snow. I'm totally going. And Ann was working in a bar up in Evergreen at the time. She was managing a bar, so she could never like get weekends off and stuff. So I called a buddy of mine, and I'm like, dude, Al and Chavo are going to be like 5 blocks. Let's go. So we went, and he didn't care for it. He kind of got snotty. It wasn't as good as WWE, but for like, I don't know, about 6 months after that, I kept watching the show on YouTube on Thursdays on the NRW Charged. And and I just kind of stuck with it. And like, months later, I was watching an episode and Mario Vanger came out and did his like first sugar-free promo where he finished with "Come with me if you want to live sugar-free."
Yeah.
And it was at that point I was like, I got to start going to shows. I got to start seeing this. And I went by myself for a while because nobody else wanted to go and Ann had to work. But eventually she changed jobs and started getting her weekends off. And it's been 5 years we've been going steady.
Yeah, so NRW was doing a little, pun intended, guerrilla marketing by putting the flyers in the magazines.
It turned out it was Zero Cool that did it. Yeah. We found out.
That's awesome. And I know I've told this story again, but it may be a good thing to tell again. I found NRW at the time. My beginning point was when NRW 1 week before they changed to Rocky Mountain Pro. So I found a flyer at Starfest that they left on the freebies table, and it was for the Nighthawk Brewing company there. That was the first event that I went to for NRW, and when the Gorillas threw a keg at their opponents and it rolled and hit that the guardrail, that's when I got hooked. I was like, oh, this is fun. And then I've been going to independent shows ever since too.
Well, wasn't that the night Stephen Ashburn jumped off the balcony?
I do not remember if that was the case.
Okay, all right.
It would have been him and Tyler Stinson versus the Left Coast Gorillas.
I might have to go look at see if I can find my pictures.
Okay,
that was still when I had an iPhone 4, so that's how long ago that
that wasn't not very long ago. No, it's funny. This week I got on Facebook one morning and it popped up in my memories that it was the 5th anniversary of my very first show, and I only took one picture at that show, and it was Titus in the middle of the ring with a Nia and hoodie right next to him, and just it's so funny. It pops up every year, and I'm like, who knew that it would turn into this? I was being obsessed.
Yeah, good memories. 4 Point Cartel. Yeah, they were crazy.
Definitely.
Great stuff.
And we wouldn't be. I'd be amiss if I would seeing Hoodies getting back into the ring, and
Hoodie versus Austin Reddick at LLL in May, right?
Yeah. That right there should sell tickets. Yeah, that should be. Definitely. That's gonna be wild. Yeah, those two. Oh, jeez. two grizzled veterans.
Yeah, Hoodie's one of the greatest, man. We might have to find a way to make it to that show.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. So what have been some of like your favorite moments and interactions and just kind of the whole genre, the whole gambit of your fandom in RMP?
Oh, shit.
The entirety of Milestone 7.
Oh, yeah.
The first time we actually got to meet Al Snow. At the pre-show VIP thing the night before,
right?
Curtis Cole talked me into climbing to the top rope of the ring.
Yeah, Allie called you out on that.
Yeah, totally. Mario won both the heavyweight championship and the charge championship.
Yeah.
When the match was over, got right out of the ring, came over and gave Ann and I big hugs, and then of course the main event, Matt and Hoodie in the cage. That whole night was just incredible. There was one night, Aligato, I don't remember who she was wrestling, probably Angel Trinity, but she was wrestling somebody, and I'm in the front row cheering her on, go Allie, get her, and she comes over and starts like mocking me. Yeah, get her, Allie, get her, yeah. I lost it. It was so funny. And then, every time Ty just talks trash about me on TV.
he talked. I know he's even gotten at me too sometimes.
How about you, Annie?
Oh man, I second everything you said about Milestone 7. That kind of still stands alone as like one of the greatest shows that we've ever been to, just beginning to end. It was just incredible. Tons of other memories. Oh man, there was one night at the Rack House where Dustin and Zero pulled my friend April and I into the ring for a dance competition, and I had just enough alcohol in me that night to actually get in there and do it. And I don't know, that was crazy fun. And then Max Larson jumped in there and knocked us all out by doing the worm and, made us all look terrible. And I don't know, I just always laugh about that night. But, oh, yeah, man, just plenty of memories, plenty of just killer matches where I'm still surprised time after time. The night Atiba won the title, I kind of lost my mind. It was just so unexpected and out of nowhere. And then, of course, last year at the Pepsi Center when Dustin beat Marlon for the title, cheating or not, whatever.
Yeah.
Just, I couldn't believe it. I didn't think they were going to put the belt on Dustin yet, and I was just so proud of him. We just love that guy in the ring and out of it, and he's just killing it as champion, but I lost my mind. It was, I was just so happy for Dustin.
Marlon's girlfriend, Carrie, I think was her name.
Yeah.
She was standing right next to us, and when they rang the bell, she turned around and looked at it and saw like just the absolute shock on her face, and she's like, "You should see you guys right now. It's so funny."
No, and last year at Milestone, in the midst of all the COVID bullshit and everything, we hadn't seen everyone in 6 months.
Yeah.
And Mario made his surprise return.
Yeah.
At the end of the main event with Dustin and Danger Dean and stuff, and we were just, we lost our minds. And a few of the wrestlers are like, we were watching you guys the entire time. We knew that, shit was going to go wild when Mario made his return and everything. And he came out and talked to us in the parking lot after the show. It was great to see him again.
Love you, Mario.
Love you, Mario. And those are just a few of them. There are so many. There are dozens more, too many to talk about today.
Yeah. Since you guys have been around longer than I have with RMP/NRW, what have been some of the interesting things that you've seen on the evolution of the company from, basically from where they've had the events to kind of like where they are, and had to make all these, of course this year had to make these changes, stuff like that. You hold any special places for in your heart for where they've been all this time?
Oh, man. Well, the changes have just been night and day since we started watching. It was, I remember when I first started getting into it, and I'm just looking online for anything on social media, on their website, and I'm like, other than just the charge shows, there isn't that much to like check out in terms of like behind the scenes and learning more about the wrestlers. And now there's so much that I can't even take it all in with, the evolution of the Twitch stuff and just, social media across all platforms. And especially, when we started going, it was at the Grudge Training Center, just kind of a little MMA gym up the street from where we live. And now having seen them in the Pepsi Center and at the Denver Museum of Art and Outlet bars and the Quarry, I'm going to miss the Quarry for the rest of my life. This new place they're doing the shows, and the Academy is cool. It is what it is for right now, but the Quarry is always just going to hold a very special place in my heart.
Yeah, and especially like you mentioned Milestone 7. I mean, that was a hot crowd for the Quarry.
Oh, man, it was incredible. Yeah, I think there were at least, 300 people in that little place that day. Yeah.
And I mean, it was awesome because I was also that year was part of the Jeffco Fairgrounds Festival.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, did you guys partake in any of the events before the show? Because that was that Saturday night, and it was all weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Did you guys partake in any of that, or?
Well, we went to like the VIP thing the night before.
Right.
Like he was thing with, Al Snow and Eugene and
Yeah.
There's another moment from that night that always makes me chuckle. We're going around getting everything signed, and Stephen Ashburn, who we'd always been booing for, I've got my little Stephen Ashburn picture, and we'd never really had a conversation with him before, even though we always sat with, kind of near his parents and would shoot the shit with them, but he was kind of like, do you want me to sign your stuff? Dude, you know what this is. Of course I want you to sign my shit, and I'll be, booing like crazy tomorrow night. Come on, man.
Yeah.
So, we did the VIP event, but we didn't really get into, the county fair or anything like that, really.
Yeah. I mean, I went to the VIP that night too. That was fun. I think I got there after you did a little bit because I had to coordinate getting there with Nicole and everything. But yeah, that was fun, and being inside that cage too was fun. Being in that ring, and I did a couple of stuff for the fair. I think I went to see the reptile show, which I'm a big turtle guy. So that was kind of fun, and seeing that and everything. But that whole weekend was nice, and I'm kind of hoping that we can I've been kind of poking Matt a little bit about trying to do some of those VIP meet and greet types things when we get those big events, depending on where the location is. If we can get a location that we can get a lot of fans in, as things are loosening up, tightening up, things are getting better, things are getting brighter, that kind of stuff. So kind of hopefully we can do that kind of stuff, because that's always fun.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's like the other good thing is we got to meet Al Snow and Steven Richards and D'Lo Brown, and just it's like, man, guys, I just loved back in the 90s, It's just like, guys, it's been so much fun.
Yeah, we text pictures of these pictures of us hanging out with D'Lo Brown and these kind of guys back to our buddies, the old wrestling crew from the 90s back home, and they just can't believe it. They think it's so cool.
Yeah. Speaking of them, it has been so fun personally for me to just because of what I do in the business, to pick Al Snow's brain. And it's
absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I'm like, wow. some of the things that I've never thought about what they could apply to what I'm doing, and it's amazing. So
yeah, and he's such a smart guy. He's such a great dude.
Yeah, and then along with everything else too, just making these connections with everybody, like to yourselves, the wrestlers. Sometimes even when you need help with something, they come through. My car was broken down, and Zero Cold picked me up and took me to a show.
I remember that night.
That was fun because he just lives up the block from me, or a couple blocks away from me. So it's awesome.
Yeah, a few years ago at the Rack House, it was like around my birthday, and he comes up and he's like, "It's your birthday, yeah?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Zero." And he's like, "Here," and he hands me like a personal, a personally made like Too Cool Dudes T-shirt, like just for me. And I'm like, "Oh man."
Yeah,
I wanted to cry.
One of a kind, yeah.
Yeah, there you go, yeah. But yeah, you were talking before too about the evolution of the company. I mean, I think that's the best part is the evolution of the guys and the gals who do all the wrestling. Watching them grow, and just like Curtis Cole, watching him get better every month, and watching Live with Grim getting better every month or every show, and that's been watching Royce Isaac going from being a tag team with Cody Devine to being a tag team on AEW. That's the best part for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Seeing Filter get better every week,
Yeah, we're Filter's proud wrestling aunt and uncle, just when watching that guy since before he even began, really.
Yeah.
Just he's going places. And watching Jumbo, watching all these guys.
Yeah, when Filter literally was Filter, he was Vince Russo's Filter.
Yeah.
It is great because it's for you guys it's going on 6 years. For me, it's going on 5. So yeah, it's great to see these guys, and like you said, and seeing some of these people, like, you know, some of the, like you said, Royce, you know, of course, also too, don't forget about his NWA stuff.
That's wild cards. Yeah,
that was one of the greatest things I've ever seen, is hearing Jim Cornette calling a Royce Isaacs match.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, how cool is that?
Yeah. How does that feel, Jim? So true. So you know, would you also too agree with me that because of the evolution, and, you know, now with of course Rocky Mountain Pro being the official wrestling partner of Twitch, that Rocky Mountain Pro can basically rival you know, pretty much a national company, just because of what they do, and with the Twitch, you know, versus, you know, one of the programs that are like on a regular TV cable channel, and just the quality of storylines too, and the things that and being invested in these guys and gals.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. The worldwide Twitch platform, and just, you know, how many more fans they have now as compared to when it was just, you know, the little local YouTube show, kind of, you know, what other companies around town are still kind of doing. But yeah, just Matt's pushing forward and really seeing the bigger picture and going for it.
Yeah, and I'm excited. Excited to see what's going to be next. I mean, we've got a lot of next, of course, for especially this year after what last year, you know, handed them. So I'm excited. What if you guys had a wish list of what maybe we could see for the next year for RMP? What would you like to see? Would it be let's get back into the Pepsi Center? Would it be like to maybe hit some other spots around town, or, you know, what would you, any thoughts or desires that you'd like to see?
Yeah, I mean, the Pepsi Center would be great for what it is. I don't know that they could consistently, you know, do shows at the Pepsi Center, but the way they rolled it into, you know, the Mammoth game, and you know, getting you know, thousands of people to stick around. I was kind of disappointed in the first show that they did at the Mammoth game 2 years ago, or whenever it was, a year and a half ago. They weren't plugging it during the Mammoth game, so they didn't get nearly as many people to stick around. Yeah. And then when they saw you know, what it was, it's like, okay, we get it. And then last year they did it right, and they were, you know, playing the promos during the game, and, you know, really enticing people to stick around, and that made all the difference and made a whole lot of new fans. Man, I would just be really happy to have shows kind of being back to the pre-COVID normal, and being able to have more than 25 or 40 people or whatever it is. Just, that's what I'm really looking forward to. I don't know that I have a wish list. I just kind of sit back and enjoy whatever they give me, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't, you know, and kind of what you also too alluded to, the amount of viewings happening on the Twitch platform for Rocky Mountain Pro, and then, of course, with one of the other podcasts that I do that I'm actually filling in for right now for AEW, for example, and I go over the TV ratings, and every Wednesday night between NXT and AEW, and we're just talking about just those two, just on Wednesday night, anywhere from 1.3 to 1.4 million people are viewing. So there's I still think there's the audience for professional wrestling. You know, it may not be as big as it was, you know, like in the Attitude Era, and it was, you know, the big pop culture thing. But I think it's still a part of entertainment that people are excited to see.
Oh, definitely.
And even the casual viewer can, you know, if it's done right, which, you know, of course, Rocky Mountain Pro does do with their storylines and the things, and you can get right in there and not necessarily be a you know, extreme watcher and follower, but you can get in there and understand the you know, cliche, the typical, you know, face versus heel storyline that goes back centuries, you know, back to the, you know, Dee Dastardly, you know, tying up the heroin on the train tracks, you know, you know, all that stuff. You know, I think it's definitely something that's doable for RMP, and, you know, for all the other local promotions too. things get going too. We got to, of course, give them a shout out because everything it's all kind of works together. It's a big community, and we all know everybody. We all know people that are interested in all different types of things and different companies, and there's a flavor of ice cream that everybody will enjoy. It's just a matter of tasting and figuring out what you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, you don't realize how many people really like wrestling. Everybody knows what it is. Everyone knows what it's about. And it's so funny when I meet new people and they eventually find out that I'm into this whole, wrestling fandom thing. Every one of them has, oh, I used to watch this guy, and oh, we watched that stuff growing up. And, oh, really? They do that around Denver? I should really check that out. And, there are always people that want to go to a show. It's just a matter of getting them to go to a show.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because that's the thing that I know you and Jason and myself, as well as the guys and the gals actually doing the work. That is the hardest thing sometimes to do, is to get people to come. And I know there's lots of great memes out there to kind of hopefully play the pity card on people to get them to come,
Well, our little group has doubled in the last year. We've been getting one of our friends to come along, and now we got two guys who have come to pretty much every show in the last year with us. So, I mean, it's growing.
Yeah, you're doing. Yeah, you guys have both definitely been doing your part. You've brought a lot of people to.
We try, man.
Yeah, I know. You even had, every once in a while you'll have somebody come for a show or two, and like you said, you do try.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a shout out to April. We're gonna get her back in the scene.
Good. Yeah, that would be great. Got to get her. I feel like she enjoyed it. I think she just is.
She loves it. She's just got a family and a kid and everything else going on in life. But she's coming back.
Good. Yeah, that'll be great. So another thing that you and Jason and myself, we enjoy, and when it comes to fandom and genre, Star Trek. Big Star Trek guys.
So it begins.
And at the time of this recording, First Contact Day is not very far away. In the Star Trek.
Yesterday.
I know. I think it's Monday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if I'm correct in my thinking, but because they're going to do a big thing on StarTrek.com. But what was the first episode of Star Trek that you saw? Do you remember which one it was?
No.
No, like my dad watched it like reruns when I was a kid, like in the late 70s and 80s, and I didn't care for it then, so I couldn't even tell you which was the first one I ever saw.
Oh.
Well, and I watched it as a kid. My mom was really into The Next Generation, so I'd watch it with her kind of casually, but I was never really into it. I knew about it, and I watched a bunch of episodes, but it wasn't something for me where it was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is just something I've come back to in the last few years. Just, the pandemic had a lot to do with it, but actually my buddy Josh, who's been coming to the RMP shows with us for about the last year, he was always into Next Generation and kind of convinced me to give it another try. So I did a watch through probably about 3 years ago, and then just kind of started it again actually right before the pandemic started. And then when everything shut down and there was nothing to do, I just kind of kept going. So from the beginning of last year up until I think November, I watched every episode of every series ever made, every movie, everything. And Jason kind of just begrudgingly went along for the ride. And now he's threatening to call up my brothers and make them fly to Colorado and stage an intervention because it's just kind of taken over my life because there's been nothing else to do, just wrestling and Star Trek.
Now, Annie, did you start at the very, very beginning and start off with the original series, or did you start
I kind of just started putting on The Next Generation again, and went through that, and then it's like, oh well, now that's over with. What do I do now? Okay, let's watch Deep Space Nine, and it was just kind of something. Okay, I'll watch this, and then a couple of seasons into Deep Space Nine, I kind of became obsessed with that show in particular, and then around that time, Picard came out and went through that, and then when Deep Space Nine was over, it's just like, okay, shit, here we go, better watch Voyager. better kind of go through the original series at the same time, and kind of peppered in with Discovery as it came out, and everything like that. And I had to hunt down the animated series from the 70s, like on Amazon or something. I think it's out of print, and I finally came across a DVD box set of that. That one was a little tough to get through, but I did it. Yeah. And gotta be a completist here in our
So with Next Gen, did you start at episode 1 and Counter at 4 Point?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now, how did you watch? Did you watch streaming? Did you watch on DVD?
Yeah, Amazon.
Yeah, streaming, except for those, or TAS. DVDs I had to buy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just all on Prime and Hulu and all of that.
Hard and Discovery.
Oh yeah, that's good. Oh, so, and you also too mentioned Deep Space Nine. You got really hooked on that because I'm gonna guess, take a wild guess, that you really got hooked and really got on when it started getting intense with the Dominion, and they brought Worf in, and they started making episodes that weren't self-contained. It was a story arc. I'm guessing that's when you really got hooked on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I've read is a lot of other fans didn't like that because they like being able to drop in anytime they want and not having to follow the story and everything like that. Yeah. But yeah, when they brought in Worf and they got like heavier into the Klingon side of things, and then especially a season later when they brought in General Martok, who is like my second favorite Star Trek character of all time. And from the beginning, though, mine and Jason's favorite character in the Star Trek universe is Nog. He's the man. He had the best story arc from the beginning of his character being just an illiterate Ferengi scheming kind of little latchkey kid to becoming like a Dominion war hero and losing his leg and having honor and just being a badass. And so yeah, he was a big part of that show for me too. And really just about every character on that show had great things. The friendship between O'Brien and Bashir ended up being like beautifully endearing as it went on. And and Cisco, like I struggled in the beginning, and Jason still does with his acting style, just this kind of terrible overacting, over dramatic, but I kind of decided early on to embrace it for what it is. And once I kind of got over that hump, I really enjoy Avery Brooks and Cisco.
Cisco's a great character. Avery Brooks is not a good actor. That's my only. I can't.
Yeah, I get you. I wanted to step back just a little bit. So, since you guys is both your favorite character is Nog, what was it like hearing the news that Aaron Eisenberg passed away?
Oh, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was totally heartbreaking, and he had already passed away before I knew who he was.
Yeah.
And it was. When I started watching and I'd seen a few episodes, I'm like, where did they find this kid? This kid is an incredible actor, and he's so entertaining. And I didn't realize he was a grown man who had a kidney issue in childhood that stunted his growth or whatever it was. Yeah. So that's when I really looked it up to find out who is this actor playing, then I'm like, oh, he's a grown up. He's just small. And oh, God damn it. He passed away like a year and a half ago. That's so sad. And all of the Star Trek fans just apparently adored him. He was, incredible on social media and at conventions and everything like that. So yeah, it's pretty heartbreaking. Yeah. And especially now with kind of the renewed interest, it would have been awesome to bring him back. Did you watch that documentary, that What We Left Behind?
Yeah, definitely. A few times.
Yeah, where they would have gone with season 8 with Captain Nog and all of that. And just it's sad that we'd never be able to see that because I just wouldn't be able to accept any other actor as him.
Definitely not.
Yeah, and you did see also, too, they have a USS Nog in, is it...
the Eisenberg class Star.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, that was cool. That was a nice little nod.
Yeah, and like you said, he was big with social media. He was actually a pioneer, I believe, when it came to before even social media was a thing. I met him at, of course, I do a lot of conventions, volunteer and stuff and things of that nature. And I met him at Starfest years and years and years ago. And he had a website was called Trek Friends. I believe. And the purpose of the website was, as he was going to these conventions, he was actually taking pictures of the fans that were coming up to get autographs from him. So he would do his autograph and said, "Hi, I need something from you. I need to take a picture of you, and I'm going to put it on my Trek Friends website." So he was, and I got put on there too as well. And like I said, I think he was a pioneer. So he was he had his eye on that before it even happened. And I know he also did, I believe he was in a podcast with Sarah Lofton. I think they did a podcast together, and I don't know what the status of it is right now, but yeah, so he was definitely a pioneer, and it's too bad that we've lost him, as well as, of course, a lot of people when it comes to the Trek world lately. But some of them are holding on, which is great. We got to cherish them for as long as we can.
Yeah, Shatner turned 90 years old last week or something.
Yeah, definitely. So what's when it comes to the Star Trek universe, what's maybe one of your favorite episodes, if not like your favorite episodes of all of the series? Maybe something that you could, need a little pick me up, or just something to watch real quick. What episode would you turn to?
In the Cards.
Oh.
Which is that's the episode where Jake and Nog are trying to get this what was it, like a Hank Aaron baseball card for Cisco, and they're in the trenches of the Dominion War, and everyone is bummed out, and just, life aboard Deep Space Nine is not going well. And in the process of making all these trades, they kind of indirectly make everyone happy. It's like, oh, Chief O'Brien, I got to go do this. Why don't you go kayaking in the Hollow Suites for a little bit? And, oh, Dr. Bashir, we need this from you. Okay, well, I'll do it if you can go get my teddy bear back from Lita. And at the and they need something from Kira, so Jake has to write her a speech and write some jokes for her, and it just kind of, in the process of getting this baseball card, I don't know, it's kind of a feel-good episode, kind of in the middle of all kinds of darker episodes surrounding the Dominion War, and I don't know, and it's incredibly quotable. What is it? The soulless minions of orthodoxy. It's I don't know. It was just a great episode. That episode, and Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite, where they have a baseball game against the uppity Vulcan starship crew, and those are probably a few of my favorite episodes. Just the lighthearted ones are always a lot of fun. What about you, Artie?
Oh, well, you gave one of them, and that was definitely Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite, because I'm definitely a big baseball fan. I try to post that picture every opening day, because it's just so fun, and and to manufactured victories, that's here, round of drinks on me, it's that was such a great way to end it. What was that, Jason?
Death to the opposition.
Yeah, Worf's things were just so Klingon, reverse the call, in character. And then O'Brien, what did you infuse the bubblegum? Scotch. Oh yeah, okay. And then he got Julian Bashir. He got him chewing on that gum, and kind of, all right, yeah, I could see it. It's it was definitely good, and of course I'll go back. Well, here goes back to Nog. Nog. Scoring that run, the one run, with, his dad bunting in a run, which is good. Yeah. I like that. I also do like, Day to Day.
Oh, that's a great episode.
It's fun. Yeah. Especially since it called back to, Measure of a Man, basically, because it was it was a communique to the guy at Starfleet who wanted to take Data apart. way back
Yeah,
then.
screw that Bruce Maddox.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was glad when he got killed.
Yeah, so so that's some of my favorites. And then kind of answering my question, what I asked you guys, I do remember the first episode I watched, and it was kind of really weird, but it was Chain of Command Part 1.
Right on.
I thought that was and now looking back at it, I think it's a very interesting that is what kind of caught me, because it's such a dreary episode, because Picard gets captured and everything, and then just of course we found out in part 2, it's the moral of the two-parter is to stick to your guns, stick to your beliefs, basically. Don't let somebody try to influence you, depending, no matter what they are trying to do, however they're trying to influence you. So yeah, that's one of the biggest things. And speaking of that, have you guys, that was the big thing when it came to the original series, is they always had a moral to every story. And I think TNG did that towards the beginning. I think they pretty much did their entire things, and then DS9 tried to do it. But then DS9, entertainment evolved, and that's why DS9 had those story arcs. It became a little more entertainment, and then I think Voyager was a little different. They had a main story plot, try to get back home, and then I think Enterprise kind of did a little bit of both. They had the great entertainment, and they also did try to tell those stories, because you had a captain, Jonathan Archer, that was not perfect. He was fallible. He was trying to take these baby steps.
He's the reason for the Prime Directive. Yeah, just all the terrible things he did.
Yeah. He had some tough steps to take, those first steps and everything. In my opinion, I mean, either of you have any thoughts about morals? Does some of these episodes kind of stand the test of time that you've seen?
Oh, they definitely do. You were just talking about Measure of a Man, which, I don't know, that's definitely an interesting episode. And I'll watch YouTube videos once in a while where lawyers will actually break down, the trial of, is Data, a person, or is he property, and everything like that. And I don't know, there's certainly allegories to slavery in that episode, and how we treat the least among us. And I don't know. I don't go too deep into it. I kind of watch it more for the fun aspect of it, and I just really enjoy it rather than looking too deep into any kind of moral lessons that go into it. But I can't really get into that too much. It's a little too early in the morning for me.
Jason, what do you have to say?
Like in TNG, some of my favorite episodes were the Q episodes.
Oh. Yeah.
His constant is humanity worthy kind of pitches. But I am mostly with Anne. I just look for the more lighthearted. One of my favorite TNG episodes. I can't remember the name of it. I want to say it's Deja Q, but it's the one where Q shows up and he doesn't have any powers.
Right. Yeah, I believe you're right. That sounds,
that one to me is it's funny and it's fun, and I mean it does touch on that kind of where are we in the universe kind of thing a little bit, but I kind of go for the fun stuff.
Yeah. Now, what do you see any kind of little difference, or just do you believe it's just kind of like an evolution of, I'm going to say the original set of series. I'm basically going to say, the original series, Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise, or let's say actually the broadcast type shows versus now everything with Star Trek is now it's Paramount Plus, aka CBS All Access. I know you guys you've catched Discovery and Picard. But do you guys see any kind of difference in between the broadcasts? Even a slight little difference of storytelling, things that you feel that they're trying to do that's maybe a little different than those set versus, like I said, the stuff that's the exclusives to the streaming world?
Oh, there's definitely a huge difference between the new Trek and like the Berman era and TOS.
There you go.
And
the
Rick Berman era.
Berman / Roddenberry, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, Jason and I get into these discussions where he's like, why don't the nerds like Discovery so much? And I talk about the purists who were like, oh, it doesn't represent Roddenberry's vision, and Roddenberry didn't want to have interpersonal conflicts between the crew, and Roddenberry didn't want this and that and this and that. But to me, it's all Trek. It's all good. It's certainly... Well, there weren't as many. I mean...
McCoy was constantly fucking with Spock.
Oh.
He was a jerk. He was always messing with Spock.
It was more like jabs and not some...
green blood.
It was more just, jabs at each other rather than some kind of like deep-seated ongoing hatred, I felt. But, I don't know. It's definitely different these days than it was back then, but I don't know. I love it all. I just don't even give a shit.
Yeah. Well,
I don't love it all, but what I do love, I love,
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason didn't care for Picard.
Yeah, I didn't like Picard, and I didn't like Enterprise. And Voyager was kind of... I liked Janeway and I liked the Doctor, but I didn't really care for any of the other characters.
Mm-hmm.
And but I mean, I love the original series. I really like Spock. I really like Kirk. I love TNG because I love Picard and Worf and Data. And I like Deep Space Nine and Discovery. Those are the ones I really, really like. And like you, I'm looking forward to that Strange New Worlds. Really looking forward to that.
Yeah. And what amazing things have come out from, CBS doing, going with these online, exclusive series that, without Discovery, we wouldn't probably not have Strange New Worlds. Because, I mean... Mount just killed the character. I mean, he just...
Oh, man.
Yeah, that whole second season was just fantastic. And mostly because of that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to that show.
Yeah, and I think they are, as of the time of this recording, I think they are actually in at least pre-production of it.
Yeah, I know they were just getting started maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago I read somewhere. But they were just starting production on the show, which made me mad. I was like,
yeah,
whole year and you haven't even started yet.
yeah. Understandably, but it's time that we get this going, and my hope is that we get, because of all these series that they are starting with Paramount Plus now, for especially just Star Trek, we should have a new episode of some kind of Star Trek every week. There's no reason that they can't have, between these 3 or 4 series, they can't have 52 episodes available between all of them.
Yeah, Discovery, Strange New World, next season of Picard. They're doing that Nickelodeon cartoon, that Prodigy that Janeway is going to be starring in, and
then Lower Decks.
Yeah. Lower Decks too. Which
have you caught any of that?
I watched all of that. I've been through that series a couple of times.
Yeah.
It gets to be a little bit too much if you try and watch it all, like do a marathon in one day.
Yeah.
But I don't. It's kind of like a love letter to the fans. Just there are so many references to every other series that kind of makes it fun to watch, and they make fun of themselves. And I swear they stole a lot of jokes from the Star Trek shit posting Facebook groups and stuff like that. I swear they linger in those groups and steal jokes. But I think it's fun. I mean, again, I'm not one of those snotty people about like Roddenberry's vision, the people who get all up in arms when, people drop the word fuck on Discovery and just, oh my God, and that they're clutching their pearls over it and everything. I watch it because it's fun. I don't care. I don't get too deep into that end of it.
Yeah. That's a great hot topic, because for Discovery, I thought it was well placed, but then when the first time they used it in Picard, I thought it was a little forced. What do you
Yeah.
what do
The
you think
fucking
about?
hubris when he was with that admiral asking for a ship.
Yeah,
Was that the scene you're talking about?
yeah.
Yeah.
It felt like it was a little forced, and it was like, oh, we've already seen this, in Discovery, and Discovery makes a whole bunch of sense of why they used it, because they are just, they are just in such a unique situation, especially now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
With Discovery. The only thing I didn't like, that I don't like about these series, is I thought, because of, and I don't know if it was just they weren't going to be able to pivot, but because of the pandemic, I thought they should have had Lower Decks be available for streaming a little sooner than it was, when maybe this pandemic first started, to give people a little bit of fun, instead of having a an intense series to watch. Why, because give people the escape. But like I said, it may have just not been something they could have pivoted on so quickly.
Yeah. Animation's tricky.
Yeah, but it's also something that can be done remotely and all that stuff like that, especially since technology is different. Because I know, like, for example, we go back to the animated series, a lot of these lines I know that the actors and actresses did remotely. They either phoned it in, or they I think even back then, I think they had ISDN lines. If people know what ISDN lines are, basically pre-DSL, and they did it through that. And so, but the only weird thing was, I know the actors have talked about this, is the only weird thing is they didn't have anything to bounce off of when they did their lines, so it was tricky to do inflection and things of that nature.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that whole show just kind of seemed a little bit well, it was definitely low budget all around. Just if you sit and watch, a handful of episodes, and in one day you notice that they're just reusing the same shots over and over again, and yeah, it's pretty silly. But...
And reusing, I don't know if you know this, but reusing Scotty Doohan, because he did like a lot of the alien
voices. He did almost every voice on the show. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what about? Okay, you guys also did mention you've watched all the movies too. Now you've seen the original set, and then the Kelvin as well. All the Kelvin.
All of them.
The Kelvin-verse, the Next Generation movies. Oh yeah, every one of them.
Yeah. What's your favorite movie of say both sets, or do you have one overall that you like?
Mine overall would be First Contact. And I can't really tell you exactly why. I don't know. I just always liked that movie a lot. Just the whole time travel aspect and defeating the Borg. And I don't know. And I always liked The Voyage Home, the one with the whales. It's just, it's different than all the other ones. It's not very Star Trek-ish. I like time travel episodes. I like time travel movies. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Just it's tying into the whole, storyline that started with Wrath of Khan. It just kind of keeps going. They show up in their stolen Klingon, ship, and they got to save the whales, and they're in the 80s, and it's fun and it's cool and whatever.
Yeah. 2, 3, and 4. They were a trilogy basically. They went from it was a continuous story.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in the Kelvin-verse, I don't know, I liked Into Darkness because I don't know, I'm a big Cumber bitch, I think is the word. Benedict Cumberbatch, and I don't know, a lot of the nerds didn't like it, but I thought he was great as Khan. I thought it was a fun movie. It was exciting. The effects were good. The action was good. The acting, I thought it was a cool movie.
Yeah. Jason?
The one I like. Well, I liked Wrath of Khan. I thought that one was really good. But I like. Is it the Undiscovered Country? Mm-hmm. Is that the one with the peace treaty with the Klingons?
Yep. Number 6. Yeah.
Yeah, with Christopher Plummer, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
thought that one was really good. Yeah. I thought that one was really good. But I'm a big nerd for the Klingons, the whole warrior lifestyle. I like that too, and I like the first Kelvin one, the first J.J. Abrams one. I thought that one was pretty good.
The first one, yeah. So yeah, with getting all the origins, getting the new stories, the things that might be a little bit different than we know from the the original set of series, the Roddenberry influenced universe. Yeah. So totally.
I'm a big sucker for Carl Urban. I think that guy's fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, totally agree. I like Undiscovery as well. I think that's one I can like binge watch.
Awesome. Yeah.
a lot of times because I think it's so good. And then when it comes to the three, Into Darkness. It was so when it was coming out. I just remember that there was so many things that people thought how this movie was going to be. Yeah. And so what I thought and what I believed, and it totally turned out a lot different than I thought this movie was going to be, and it was good. The only thing that I'm disappointed in the Star Trek universe is that they didn't capitalize. I'm a big merch guy. They did not capitalize on merch when it came to these new movies.
Yeah,
that was
weird.
that was the big thing that they could have started with this. Especially knowing now that we've got all these new series on on Paramount Plus that they could have taken those steps to get these old merch, get the they're going now a little bit, but it's more of you can't go to Walmart or Target to find them. You always have to order everything. But when it comes to the Star Trek, and it's still a little disappointing because there's Star Wars toys on the shelves, there's WWE, in this case, toys on the shelves, but there's no Star Trek. Basically, you can't go in and walk in a store. You're gonna basically have to Amazon it or an Entertainment Earth or something like that with when it comes to Star Trek toys. So it's the only thing I'm disappointed about.
Yeah, but I mean, Star Trek's a little more adult.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see too many 7-year-olds. Looking for a Scotty action
figure. But it is geared towards adults who buy toys.
Oh, true.
Yeah. Yeah, the dealers' rooms at conventions are huge. Yeah. And I think that was a big thing for conventions, and of course the conventions last year, these dealers really, really hurt financially because of conventions being shut down. So hopefully they can pick it up, recoup. Hopefully they don't, and knock on wood as a consumer, that I'm hoping that they don't try to gouge all of us at the dealer rooms when these conventions get back up and running again.
Okay.
So because it's difficult, but I've personally picked up a few things. I'm liking for example, the new Megos that they've got out, Mego action figures that reflect back in the 60s. There's all kinds of cool ones that are fun. So that's all cool, and they're running them in waves, which is nice. I really am enjoying that as well. So, yeah. All right. Well, Jason, Ann, if you guys don't mind, I think that might be a fantastic point to put on this episode. I know you guys don't necessarily, you guys are just fans but not wrestlers, but what would you like to maybe say to the listeners of RMP Radio about the wrestling world, and what kind of thoughts and wishes and desires that you'd like the listeners of this podcast to do when it comes to that?
Just keep supporting, man. Go to Twitch and sign up for the Twitch and come to shows if you're in the area. Buy shirts. They're all over the internet. Just support these guys. Help them keep going. Help them get bigger. And that's all I got to say.
Yeah, I second that emotion as well. Just Jason and I, we don't try to outwardly shame people who show up to RMP shows with WWE merch, but it's like, hey man, they got a merch table right over there. Go buy his shirt, support them.
Yeah.
When wrestlers get hurt, if you can afford it, throw $20 at their GoFundMe. It's a community. These guys aren't making a ton of money or in a lot of cases any money whatsoever doing this. They're doing it because they love it. If you're into wrestling, it's not all about WWE and the big guys. Check out your local scene. You're gonna the stars of tomorrow is what everyone keeps saying, and it's really true.
Absolutely.
Just have fun. It's something that it's Jason and I, it's our favorite thing about living in a city like Denver in particular, just that we can get out of the apartment once in a while and have a great time and yell and scream and boo and cheer and meet other great people. And that's all I want. If you're into wrestling, check out the local guys. Yeah. Throw them your support. Throw them a Twitch subscription. Buy a T-shirt.
Yeah, and if you're not in Denver, wherever you are, man, there's got to be an indie show somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah, totally agree. All right. Well, thank you both once again for doing this, and I will be seeing you at the next show.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time, Artie. Thanks so much.
Take it easy.
Once again, a huge thank you to both Annie and Jason for coming on to this edition of RMP Radio and allowing me to combine both wrestling and Star Trek, which are great passions of mine. Now, let's go ahead and remind you, like Jason and Annie did here at the end, we want to get tickets to the next Rocky Mountain Pro show. Head over to rmpwrestling.com, click on the events link. You'll be able to purchase tickets right there, or hit up the Facebook page or the Twitter page, or if you're an Eventbrite user, either through the app or the website, turn on that notification for Rocky Mountain Pro, and you'll get notified when tickets get posted there, and you'll be ready to rock and roll when tickets are ready for you to purchase. Now, before we get out of here, let's pay some bills like they used to say back in the day. Want to get some merchandise of your favorite Rocky Mountain Pro superstars? Head over to rmpwrestling.com, click on the merchandise link, or if you're on amazon.com or the Amazon app, search for Rocky Mountain Pro, and you'll be able to search for all kinds of merchandise right there in that viewing. Or if you are so inclined, hit up your favorite Rocky Mountain Pro superstar. Check to see if they've got a Pro Wrestling Tees, Brainbuster Tees, What a Maneuver, and various other websites to purchase their merchandise. Goes well to help those guys and gals out if you can do that. Now, you want to watch us, like we said, if you are not in the area, or if you want to go back and watch all the great programming that Rocky Mountain Pro has to offer throughout the week, and the archive, twitch.tv/Rocky Mountain Pro. If you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you do get a Twitch subscription included in your membership. Or if you are not, which, gosh, who isn't these days? Or if you have one tied up already, it's a nominal fee like $5.99 a month. Also, go to youtube.com/Rocky Mountain Pro. You'll see the episodes posted once they get sliced down into segments from the viewing, from the Twitch recordings and such. Also, Fight.tv or the Fight TV app on your phones or like the Roku device. And then always we want you to follow us. Everything does stem from the website rmpwrestling.com. Also on the social medias of the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram. 2 accounts I want you to follow. That's the first one is the Rocky MTN Pro. And once again, I'll phonetically spell that for you. That's the Rocky Mike Tango November Pro. And then also follow RMP on Twitch. Now, I want to thank you all for supporting and listening to this edition of RMP Radio, where pro wrestling is elevated.